What up, and welcome back to another episode of Creeps of the Crypt, a podcast dedicated to the Tales from the Crypt series from the 1980s or 1989. It went on for 7 years, and we're going to review every single episode of the entire series, and then hopefully in the future also get some of these actors to come on and ask them questions. Questions like, why did the producers decide just to cast their friends or hire their friends to do particular episodes? And I want to make this point before I introduce myself. There's going to be times when we're not going to like an episode. And I'm sorry if you're a diehard Tales from the Crypt fan. I would assume we are too. But if you're a diehard Tales from the Crypt fan, if you don't like us crapping on some of these episodes. I don't know how other podcasters do it. So I can't, I don't know if they, walk around the edges and say, oh, this episode was great. It was still good. It just wasn't as good. I don't know. I'm very blunt and I'm very honest. So when I say things that are negative and people get upset, because it's happened in the past, talk about episodes and people get upset. Yeah. It's going to happen. But anyway, I'm your host, John, and along with me is my co-host,
Other Alan. Glad to be back on this one. Yeah. As that little precursor there is already an indication that this episode is not too hot.
No.
Not too fuego.
This episode, now I know why I always, this is the first time I actually watched the whole episode. And maybe it's just...
You didn't fall asleep, right?
I did, actually. I fell asleep a few times.
Yeah, like you mentioned that you had fallen asleep a few times trying to watch this episode, and
before
already a bad sign. And you weren't under any influence or nothing.
No, yeah.
Of sound and mind.
Yeah. So I originally said that for some reason, every time I tried to watch this episode, I would fall asleep, and I'd miss it, and I'd only seen the very beginning or maybe the end. Never saw the end until recently, today. When I watched it, not today, but when I watched it. And on top of that, I don't know why I fall asleep, because it happened again. So I tried to watch this three times. Mind you, that day I watched Spider-Man, the first one again. So I tried to watch this three times, and I kept falling asleep. So I picked up right where I left off from the last time, and then I rewound it and watched it again. But yeah, so the episode we're referring to is Season 3, Episode 9 from Tales from the Crypt, titled Undertaking Palor. And it was directed by Michael Thau and written by Ron Finley. And it was released, the original air date was July 24th, 1991. And wow. I understand the idea for doing this one. I think one of the main reasons why it was not executed correctly, I'll get to that. But why don't you tell us what the synopsis is for this episode?
Yeah, well, much like the comic, very simple synopsis. Group of teenagers, I guess you could say, on this episode, they stumble upon a kind of a nefarious plot between the pharmacist and mortician. It's kind of the initial setup of this episode. They kind of find out more than they should know about what's been going on between the two, and I guess their dealings.
Mm-hmm.
Did this episode kind of give you kind of a Goonies vibe in a way, or they were trying to do some
that's what they were trying.
Kind of Goonies thing?
That's what it feels like they were trying to do. That's the main thing. Like, okay, that's why I said, well, I know what they were trying to do, and they were trying to let's do a Goonies version. They looked like I said, we don't know how they picked these episodes. I'm assuming the directors have their favorite comics that they read and they liked them. They didn't remember every single one of them. They got their hands on some of them, and they're like, yeah, this is the one. This is the one. And then they picked theirs, and then they said, pick whichever ones you want to do. And they just picked randomly. And because this one came up, they're like, oh, let's do a Goonies type episode. The biggest problem here, especially since they got one of the Goonies actors, because I didn't say who it stars. True. But let me say who it stars. It stars John Glover as the Undertaker, Mr. Spurlock or Sprolick or something, because the comic is the same. They're both they're very true to the comic, almost too true. Graham Jarvis plays Grundy. He's the pharmacist. Then you got Aron Eisenberg plays Aron. You got Jonathan Quan or K. Hugh Quan from Goonies and Indiana Jones, and this obviously, and Everything Everywhere All at Once. Is that the name of the movie? I saw parts of it.
Something like that. I never watched it. I heard the hype behind it, but I just never got around to watching it. I mean, that's really the only thing. I'm sure he's done other work, but that's like his big breakout. But I mean, he won an award for it at least, so it's kind of like
am I confusing
a
him
little bit more memorable than his time on this episode.
There's
Tales
like
from the Crypt.
2 Asians in the 80s that were known for doing things. He's one of them, and the other one was the kid Long Dong something from 16 Candles.
What's happening, hot stuff?
Is it Jetty Watanabe? That guy?
Yeah, I guess so. I'm looking right now to see what he. I don't even see his freaking name in this movie. I don't see any. Oh, there he is. Yeah, yes, Long Duck Dong. That was his.
That's what I searched on Google. Look, Dong Dong, 16 Candles.
He kind of looks like Short Round, to be honest. Poor guy, he didn't get an Academy Award.
If he gained some weight, that would look like him.
Yeah, or he was older too, because Long Duck Dong was older. Long Duck Dong. Well, I can't say that there was only 2, because then there was also that other Asian guy, but he wasn't in much. That was in. He was in John Carpenter films. He was in.
Yeah, he was in a lot. He's been
Prince
in a lot
of Darkness.
Stuff, over.
Oh, this guy.
Mm-hmm.
This guy, yeah, this guy. I'm not talking about him, but there was another one that was in Prince of Darkness and Big Trouble in Little China, but that wasn't this guy. But yeah, this guy's been working more so than Jonathan Quan, because Jonathan Quan stopped working after a while. But yeah, so K. Hugh Quan and Scott Fults. I don't know which one he is, and Jason Marsden, who is Eric Matthews' best friend that disappears and no longer hangs out with him anymore. He was in 9 episodes of Boy Meets World, and I was there. Oh, he was also, yeah, that's who he was. I remember. That's what I remember him from more, is from Full House. He was in Full House. He was wow. He was only in 4 episodes of that, but I remember that pretty well. I think he liked DJ and he was trying to go out with her. So that's interesting.
Something like that. Yeah, he's got a memorable face if you grew up in the 90s. Like, he did like the voice of Max in the Goofy movie. He's doing a lot of animated work.
So Scott Fults, who played Normie, because I looked at the names, says Normie. The Aron Eisenberg, I don't know what he did, because he also looks familiar, but Normie looked very familiar when I was watching the episode. So I'm like, who the fuck? Why do I know that face? He looks so familiar. And I looked at his IMDb, and he's not in much. But he was Buddy Holly in an episode of Quantum Leap, where Sam leaped into somebody, and they had no records, really, of what happened in this time period. But he was a doctor, and supposedly whoever wrote love letters to this woman was going to marry her. And they think it's Doc, who's Sam. And then he has this kid that's with him, because Doc is also a veterinarian. They call him Doc, but he's a veterinarian. So this kid like stays at his house all the time, and they don't have any info on him or what his name is. So Sam keeps going, okay, Par. All right there, man. Not saying his name. All right, kid, or whatever. And then at the end, where he's looking for this pig, he goes, Piggy, Piggy. And then the other kid is playing the guitar, and he goes, Piggy.
Suey. Piggy Suey. Piggy Suey. Piggy Suey. Piggy Suey. Oh, how my heart yearns for you. Oh, Piggy. My Piggy Suey.
Sam and the hologram observer from the future look at each other and they go, hey kid, why don't you try Peggy Sue?
All right. Peggy Sue, oh how my heart yearns for you, oh, oh Peggy, my Peggy Sue. Well, I love you, gal, and I need you, Peggy Sue.
And then Sam leaps. It was like, what? He was there just to give Buddy Holly the lyrics because he didn't get the girl. So yeah, so that was interesting. That's where I remember him from. Much fatter than he was in 2 years, because that was 2 years prior. No, one year. because he was skinny in that 89 episode. So in this one, he gained a little bit of weight. But yes, they were going for a Goonies vibe, and it was obvious. But the biggest problem, in my opinion, is especially Jonathan Quan. He's fucking 20. He's 20.
Oh,
He's
yeah.
20 in this like in real life, he's 20, and he's pretending he's a kid. You said they say they're 16. I never got that any information on how old they were. All I know is that he goes. What did he say? He has the accent because he's like, no,
Yeah,
you
still
cheat.
thick.
You cheat big. I cheat small. I very little. I cheat small. I'm like, he's talking like this. Oh, you should have seen your pants, Normie.
I got you, Normie. Son of you video asshole!
Did you see the look on Normie's face?
Oh, you should have seen it, Normie. It was great. I thought for sure your eyes were gonna pop right out of your head.
Stop it, Josh. You didn't scare me, okay?
Yeah.
Oh, Normie, you should have seen yourself. You had shit all over your pants. Like, oh, he's 20. And then the other one, they're all trying to act younger than they are. Then they look ridiculous. It's horrible. It's horrible. And I understand.
Yeah.
He looks young. So, he looks young. I'm like, basically, he looks too old to be this because he was too old. He was 20. And the other ones are probably 16. Maybe, yeah. But they all look ridiculous. Normie acts ridiculous. Like, you want to make a real scary movie? Rich boy? How about, oh yeah, why don't you make a video of Normie eating a Twinkie? And he goes, shut up, guys. I was like, bro. Okay.
Well, as teenagers, I think they could have passed off like that. It's just the way that they wrote them and the dialogue. It made it seem like they were acting younger than they are.
They're supposed to be younger than they are. That's the point.
Right.
Yeah, if they were like 20, if there was a different story and it was like, yeah, 20-year-old something, maybe. But you know, you've got these guys pretending that they're children. They're supposed to be like 10. I mean, well, the source material, they're like 10. They're kids. It's a fucking comic book. They're really children. They're like the Goonies type thing, which would have worked perfectly. Another thing that hurts this episode. So that's what the episode's about. I mean, how much more do you want? Like, it's this group of friends. They're leaving a movie theater, and I forgot the movie that came out, but that was a trip. I looked it up. Oh, Radio Flyer. Radio Flyer was in the movies that they left, and I go, Radio Flyer. Why would they put that movie? Let me see who directed Richard Donner. So it was like, hey, Donner. So
there's a lot of references to Donner in this one
Yeah.
because the guy directing it, Michael Thau, I was looking into his IMDb, but he's mainly done a lot of editing work for Donner's films. So
that's right.
that's
Donner.
kind of the where those references come from. So this yeah, he even had the poster of Lethal Weapon outside the theater too. I remember seeing.
There you go. Yeah.
So there's a few Easter eggs in here referencing Donner and Zemeckis. Apparently, we'll get to that in a little bit once we kind of go over some of the scenes. But yeah, apparently there was one, but I didn't catch it, and I watched it twice. I just think I was so not into it. I just probably missed it.
Yeah, so they leave the theater, and then there's the three of them, the white kids, the three white kids are making, just talking crap to each other like kids normally do. And all of a sudden they see something in the alleyway, and it's scaring them, and it's a red eye, and then he scares Normie, he runs away, and they all run away, and then it's Jonathan Quan with the camera.
Right.
You should have seen yourself, Normie. You almost shit your pants. And then,
Oh yeah, you didn't mention like there was kind of an ode to Predator because they had that Predator vision going on when from his perspective, from
the camera.
Short Round's perspective. I'm just gonna call him Short Round.
Yeah, from the camera. And then that's when bad kid James Marston, he's back because he's a leather jacket. So all the bad kids, the
tough
cool,
one, yeah.
the cool ones, they always had leather jackets.
Like Fonzie, yeah.
Well, Fonzie, but Chachi didn't. But Charles in Charge, he had a nephew that was only in 3 episodes, but they gave him a title, like a big, like in the opening credits, he
Suspenders,
was
right?
No, he had a leather jacket. Like he was supposed to be like, he was like Chachi, but with like Fonzie at the same time because he was like the cool one, the sneaky one, always trying to pull. Well, he was like Chachi, but Chachi never wore the leather jacket. Leather jacket was specifically for the Fonz. So this kid had the leather jacket. And then there is an episode where he meets one of Charles's girlfriends, because Charles had a new girlfriend every episode. Like they use that show to like Scott Baio used that show to bang girls. I mean, this is obvious without a doubt. So he had a girl, and the kid saw her, and he's like,
This is my little nephew Anthony, and he wanted to meet you. Hi, Anthony.
Wow, wow, wow.
Wah, wah, wah? Nobody says wah, wah, wah.
What do you mean? That kid on Happy Days always says wow, wow, wow.
Well, what did he know? He was a weenie.
so they were referring to him. And I think in that exact same episode, Donnie Most, he played Ralph Mouth on Happy Days. I think he is in the actual diner and he wins the lottery. And he screams, "Oh, Happy Days are here again." And then he walks out. So it was a big Happy Days little bullshit. Anyway, yeah. So I don't know how we got into that. Oh, Leather Jacket Boy. So he tells the rich boy, we discovered that Jonathan Quan, Short Round, is rich. You want to make a real movie? You ever touched the hand of a dead man or something? And then they show like them opening the door to the mortician's place and then sneaking in, I think, and then hiding because he comes home early. And then it's just dragged out. And the whole episode, like, it's like 5 minutes dragged out. This mortician coming in with pizza, and this is the mortician is John Glover, who was in Gremlins 2. He was in Shazam. He was in he was in Batman and Robin. He played the scientist that makes Bane and then gets killed. Very famous actor. So he was in there, and he plays the guy. And that interesting casting. It would have been good, but he had nothing to do, because this is one instance where they stood true to the comic, the source materials so much, they made nothing different really, except for the ending. And that was like, and the comic was more interesting in the same, even though it was, they actually changed like 2 things, I believe, from the comic, but it was just, anyway. Mortician's there, he takes a hammer and bashes the face of a dead body, and then he like adjusts it, like that's gonna make the face better. Then he takes out this hose that's supposed to suck something out, and he sticks it in the body to suck out something. And then he puts like mulch and shit inside her to replace whatever he took out. And then there's a knockout, the doorbell rings, even though I think there was a segment where he almost caught the kids because they made noise. The doorbell rings, he goes, and a man comes in. The kids, when he goes to get the door, the kids run out except for the fat one. He hid inside a casket. He falls out, hides underneath the casket. So all he can see is the feet. So he sees the feet of one of the guys, and basically he hears. The plot is that the pharmacist or a pharmacist is working with the Undertaker to kill people, so this way they can overcharge them and make more money on the funerals. So he just knew that they planned to do that with somebody wealthy, which I don't know why he didn't pick it up right away. And he goes, he tells them, and then when they're walking home, they see Short Round sitting there crying, and they go, "What happened, buddy?" Was his name Rich or Josh? "What happened, buddy?" And he goes, "My dad died last night."
Dad died this morning. He had a heart attack.
No. What happened? He had an asthma attack. So asthma. And then Buddy Holly's like, dum, 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 dum. I think the music too put me to sleep. I told you that. I was like,
the music was very odd. That they were trying to be playful. It also kind of go in line with what they were seeing, a little bit mysterious. But yeah, it doesn't really. We don't really know anything about what's going on. It seems like. Yeah, because he's the mortician, so it makes me think like, yeah, I could kind of see that in some aspects. Morticians just talking to themselves, or I don't know if they'd be eating a pizza while putting together the body ready for a funeral like that.
80s.
But he was playing, yeah, he was hamming it up. They made it seem like it's just body horror mainly, because we just, but it's not really that great because the cadaver they had there would look pretty bad, all plasticky and everything. And he was talking to her like I think he knew her, but
oh yeah,
it's all tied into the plan with the with the pharmacist. Like in the comic, they were saying they were trying to off wealthy folks in order to, get extra money for the funeral. So that was their plan that they happened to stumble upon.
No.
So we don't find that out till like 15 minutes in the episode. So already by then we're kind of clocked out because it was a good couple minutes with just him, them watching him and him messing with the body.
So the one thing you said, he knew her, the girl that he bashed her face in, the dead body. Yeah, he says you stood me up, or you never gave me the time of day or something before. She was a librarian, right? So yeah,
right. They meant the kids mentioned, I think, them knowing her. It's like I didn't know she was sick. And one of them said.
So the kids devised a plan to try to find out who the pharmacist is, so they could record it and catch him. I don't remember. And then they went to the pharmacy. He goes, "Is that guy? Oh, I got an idea. Oh, they couldn't see their feet. That's why." So they said, "Which one is he?" He goes, "I don't know."
From his shoes.
Yeah, I only saw his shoes. So one of the kids goes in, Aron, and he starts like pretending, or he actually does steal a dirty magazine. So they catch him and they pull him out, and then he looks, he goes, "They're not their shoes." Then somebody else comes like, "Hey, Grundy, the creepo," who sees a young girl walk by him. He goes, "Well, we got a camera there, buddy? Why are you filming inside my store and not filming these pretty girls walking by?" Grundy. I bet you he visited there whenever there was a young... he went to the Undertaker's. Hey. So, is Aron... No. It is... I knew it. I knew somehow, even through the makeup, I knew it. Okay, so Aron, this little fuck, I was looking at his picture. I'm like, where do I know him from? Where do I know him from? And his laugh in the episode was like, I know that fucking smile. He is Nog from Star Trek Deep Space Nine. It was covered by my green screen. But I have a little Nog. He was Nog in Star Trek. He was the only, oh my God, I forgot what his species is called. Ferengi. Ooh. I haven't watched Star Trek in a long time. Like, it makes me excited when I talk about it, because at least Deep Space Nine, I like that one a lot. It was gritty. I liked The Next Generation too, and the original. And Voyagers, I just could never really get into it. I tried so many times. It's just so, ugh. But it's not terrible. I think I haven't even got, look, I'll be honest. When I was a kid, I tried to watch Voyager after SmackDown. I used to play SmackDown. Couldn't get into it.
I remember that.
I used to watch The Next Generation every time because it was that late at night. I would stay up and watch that. And I loved The Next Generation. As I got older, I started watching them again. I got into Deep Space Nine a lot, and I love Deep Space Nine. I tried to watch Voyager. I went to 2 seasons, to 2 seasons of Voyager, and I was just like, I'm out. I'm done. I'm tired. Like, these characters are not interesting. Nothing is gravitating towards me. So I have not even got to 7 of 8. Is that her name? Yeah, one of the Borg women. That she's like the hottest one. I mean, Jadzia was pretty sexy. They let her go on Deep Space Nine the last season like idiots. But so he played Nog, and it was that smile. That's what I remember. Okay, I was like, why do I know Aron? Aron Eisenberg. I know that name. I know that. So yes, okay, I give it credit.
He's the kid with the backwards cap, right?
Yeah. So he was good in it. The kids were fine except for Jonathan Quan. I'm sorry. The only reason why he was terrible is because he was so old, and he's pretending to be a kid. And the directing didn't do much. This guy never did anything before, and the writer too. They never did anything. So anyway, their plan is they find out Grundy, the pedo, is fucking. He's the one. He's the one that's in cahoots. So then
they find out he's involved because they didn't see it. They didn't see his face, just his shoes.
And Jonathan Quan goes, "This is my camera. So this is what we're going to do. We're making this video to let everybody know that the mortician and the Undertaker and the pharmacist are killing people in our town. And they killed my father. So we're going to record them and catch them in the act." And they sneak into the Undertaker's place. He hides in an open window, in a window, like there's a windowsill. And
I don't know how he didn't see him. Like we get a shot of it. Like it just has a bunch of vials on it.
Yeah.
So how the hell did he get up there? And
why is it so dark over there?
Breaking it. It didn't even look that dark. Yeah.
No, but I'm saying like it's so bright like the light is coming in through that window, even with those bottles covering it. Like if he went up there and he stood there, Don't you think the mortician would go, it's kind of dark in here? Ah!
Dark in here.
You know,
Oh, right.
Something, no.
Well, yeah. Just for the sake of the episode, just for things to unravel as they do. But yeah, I mean, we get the sense that they're in the movies. I guess they're also amateur filmmakers. So I mean, after the 15 minutes, it turns into kind of similar aspects, but not as good. It turns to almost like a found footage from style, because we get a lot of the POV shots with their cameras, getting different angles of everything that they're trying to gather evidence for to, I guess, to give to the police at some point. Although, without things end, I don't know how that's gonna work out for them. But yeah, it's they get all the everything they can. They go back to the mortician's place and set up cameras there. And you see, what is it, John Glover, doing work on another body. And yeah, they have a disagreement with the pharmacist. Shows up and saying that somebody dropped off they found documents there, actually, right, that were showing that he was skimping out on the pharmacist, like saying this is how much, like, I guess they split. I'm not sure what the paperwork was.
They were looking for paper,
yeah,
and they found something.
Yeah, paper.
He told Grundy that it was only $5,000, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
That he only get $1,500. He told Grundy that it was only $1,500, and it was actually $5,000. He's a receipt for $5,000 that he charged the librarian family, I think. So then he sent the letter to Grundy. I forgot how they did it on the show. On the movie, they did it better. I think they sent the letter to Grundy, and then Grundy comes to in the show they'd send the letter to Grundy. Grundy sees it, goes, "You lied, you cheat to me. I'm gonna." Then they fight. He accidentally kills himself.
I think it's a little bit different. I think they try to give him rat poison, and
that's in the comics.
That's the comic, yeah.
Yeah, in the comics, that's what happens in the comic.
Yeah, we'll get to that one.
Yeah. So in the show, I think they send the invoice to him. Then they hide, and they're setting it up to capture the confession. That's what Jonathan Quan's doing, hiding up there. He's trying to capture it. And then so Grundy shows up, confronts him about the money. And then he goes, "Oh no, somebody's setting us up. You're overreacting. Is that fat kid is setting whatever, blah, blah, blah." And then he takes out his gun. He's going to do something. And then the Undertaker has enough time to walk 3 steps back, reach over, grab a pipe, and hit him over the head. So then he gets knocked out, puts him on top. He falls on top of a little gurney, throws him on top of the gurney, ties him up, and is about to poison him, I believe. Give him some poisons to kill him. So he does actually hold his mouth open, pours the poison into him of whatever that the pharmacist was sending him to kill people. Although earlier it was an asthma inhaler, so now it's liquid. But hey, whatever floats your boat. And
he spilled some apple juice on him, and
apple cider piss.
Yeah, apple cider, some dehydrated piss.
Yeah, and then so he dies. So that's when they hear the kid. He went, "Oh my god!"
Not even that kill was really
good,
cool or good. Yeah, it just looked like he was foaming and spitting out like carrot juice, and that's it.
This
just dies.
This is the director's take on. You would think he worked with Richard Donner and all these films he edited, or whatever he did. It's just the camera angles are now all of a sudden all the kids have a camera, and so he heard something, and then I thought he heard like Jonathan Quan go, "Oh my god!" And he looked at the light. Then the other kid pops out, "Hey!" And then they all start popping out with cameras. "Hey shithead! Hey asshole!" They're calling him curse words, and Jonathan. That's when he starts laughing, and he's like, "Oh shit! I gotta kill all 3." Like, I gotta kill all 3 of you motherfuckers. Put those cameras down. He grabs the knife. So you think it's gonna go where the comic book went, which the comic book was much better. Again, source material is always better for some reason. You would think the comic book was easy to do, and it feels like they didn't even want to film outside. They filmed like 2 scenes outside in this film. But anyway, somehow Normie grabs the vacuum suction thing for some reason against a knife, and then the mortician grabs the gun that the pharmacist dropped after he, and then he's holding the gun and the knife. Okay, listen, buddy, what's the kid? They got What are you wasting all this time for? Just what? Well, because there's 3 of you. Kill one, and then run for the other. Then they all help one, and then whoever tries to run out, grab the other one. But no, he's standing there wasting time so Fonzie's nephew can take the gurney with the woman was in and push it. So he goes. It was like cartoon. It was a cartoon. And then the vacuum gets stuck in him, and it's get turned on, and his insides are getting sucked out, and he dies. And then we know his insides are getting sucked out because they showed an angle from another camera of all the blood getting poured into the sink, and then they're filming, and that's how it ends. And it was pretty boring. Oh, they go, oh look, she's smiling. That the body of the librarian is smiling at the end. That's how it ends. That she was dead. She was like a whole episode, and then after when they killed the mortician, she's smiling. Like, thanks, boys. And I think
that part really put the nail on the hammer on this one. It's like, oh god, this is terrible. Like even the ending monologue with Crypt Keeper was terrible too.
Yeah.
I forgot what was the line he said. He said,
let
me look it up real quick. He said something. He said like, poor Sebastian, a brilliant career going down the drain, and then makes sucking noises and cackles, right? As for the kiddies, Josh gave up on movies. He seemed like he didn't have the guts. And the others, they became lawyers. Must I have been the taste of blood? After all, they certainly gotten themselves a killer. I mean, gestures to show that he's wearing the Nate's snakeskin shoes. Who wears shoes like these except a killer? So until next time, see you later, alligator. And then just laughs. Just trash. I'm sorry. That part was trash too.
The shoe thing reminds me of another episode of Quantum Leap, but I don't think it was 91. I think it was 94 or 92. It was season 4 of Quantum Leap. So 89, 90. Yeah, 92. So a year after. There was an episode where gunshots happen, somebody dies, blah, 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 blah. Little kid was there to witness it. Little kid's like, he has asthma also. And the little kid's like, they try to keep him around. The mother's a single mom. Sam leapt into this hairstylist that everyone thinks gay, but he's not. And he's kind of attracted to the mom. And the mom's attracted to him for sure. And the kid's like, always like can't breathe all the time. Discover that all the kids saw from the shooting, because he was there, was the guy's shoes. And he said he had pennies in his shoes. And it was like, pennies in his shoes? And then finally, like near the end, it goes, penny loafers. He was wearing penny loafers. And then you see that the guy who went to pick up the kid because something else happened, you see his shoes, that the kid looks at his shoes and it's missing one penny. He has penny loafers. You put pennies in these penny loafers. So he looks, he's like, oh no. This episode is interesting only because the little kid was played by a young Joseph Gordon-Levitt when he was like 10 or 11. That's the age these kids should have been. 10 or 11, like the comic book. This is the comic. The Crypt of Terror, Undertaking Palor. And this comic, see the kids? They're children. That's what they are. They are children.
Yeah, this one was a bit more on their kind of curiosity of what the mortician does. So they weren't really filmmakers in this one. So that's one of the differences.
They were just snoopy kids that are watching. Yeah. This is what kids did when I was young, at least. This is what we did. We hung out and we go places and look to see if we could see inside a window or something, what's going on. And these kids were just morbid little kids, curious to see what the Undertaker does with his time. And they go and they look and they stumbled upon this confession, because they could hear through the window, that the Undertaker and the pharmacist are working together, killing people in town, so this way they could benefit off the profits. That's all. And it makes sense. And then they go, oh, that other kid left. What happened? Josh, played by Short Round here, is the rich kid in town whose father died that night. He had an asthma attack, or a heart attack in the comic. I think it's an asthma attack, to be honest. My dad, a little while ago, he died. I don't think he says exactly what his father died of. I think they do up top. He said
they gave him like a bad prescription or something.
Yeah.
And the other difference here, they never told their friend that they found out that he got murdered.
Yes, that's another thing, that they decided to do it on their own without telling him. But they couldn't do that because Jonathan Quan's the real star of those three kids.
And then
a man
at the time, yeah.
And
the pharmacist offers to give the guy, the mortician, I guess some tonic.
Yeah, because he says he was.
They swapped it out with rat poison.
That night when they were talking, he says he doesn't look too good. He goes, "No, I'm just tired." So then the next day, the kids that came up with the plan, and they said, "Oh, you don't look too good." He's like, "Oh, really?" So then he went and he called, and he says, "I need some of that tonic." So then the kids were like, "Great!" So the fat one was standing by the pharmacy. So when the pharmacist gave him the tonic, he grabbed it. He went to the kids, which was interesting the way they did in the comic. Because so which they kind of try to do. Yeah, Chubby. So Chubby gets it. They change it to a poison, and then when he goes to give it to the Undertaker, he drops it. It breaks, and then the Undertaker's cat drinks it, and he goes, "Oh, look," because the Undertaker's cat dies right away. So then he's
that part was pretty cool.
Yeah,
if they actually kept that. That would have been cool to see, like the cat just dying. As morbid as it sounds, but that was at least an interesting part of this comic.
And then, so then that's when the Undertaker realizes that, oh, the pharmacist is trying to kill him, and then he goes and he kills the pharmacist, and then the kids are like, oh my God! Then he hears the kids, who's there, and he chases after the kids. He falls, kills himself, and it's Percy's father's grave that he dies. He hits his head on Percy's father's grave. And that's how he, which doesn't make sense because he just killed him the night before. I thought so. Technically, that.
Hey, it's one of those irony endings that some of these stories from EC tend to pull out there. I've read a couple of the issues you sent me with Tales from the Crypt and Vault of Horror. So there's a few of those. So that's one example there. Yeah, I like the concept of the story from how they were originally and how they decided to go about it. I like the concept, but it just wasn't executed really well.
Yeah, no, it was the idea. I mean, the comic was good. The comic was good. It was short too, and it just felt like they weren't trying to capitalize on Goonies type thing, do a kids film. But the kids they decided to pick were way too old. They should have been younger, and they should have stuck to the ending of this exactly because this makes more sense. The kids don't seem. They weren't trying to kill anybody. They were trying to get them to turn on each other. And they successfully succeeded in that aspect of getting them to turn on each other. But in the same sense, in the comic, then they they got them to turn on each other, and just so happens they got lucky. In the show, they're trying to get them against each other too, but then they want to expose him and film it, and then how are they going to get out? Well, it's whatever. It's just, look, it's not horrible rewatching it or thinking about it. It's just boring, and it sucks because they're not actually kids, because they're too old to be doing this, and there's nothing here. It's a lot of wasted time and nothing really happening. So I'm not going to say it's the worst episode. I'm thinking about it more and more. I think it is better than, earlier before we started, I think I have it recorded, but I'm not going to put it in here. I think you asked me, and I go, oh yeah, it's worse. I think it's worse. See, it's hard for me to rate it. You rate it first because I did fall asleep. Every time I try to watch it, I fall asleep. And I think the thing that takes me out of it so much is the fact that Short Round is so old in here. He's pretending to be a child. And all of them are pretending to be children. And it just doesn't work. Even the small kid, the jokes don't click. Nothing. It's bland. It's bland, right. And it's not an interesting Tales from the Crypt episode. So I think you asked me if this one was worse than the vampire one, the reluctant vampire, and I don't. I'll say no.
I don't think.
I'll say no.
I think it slightly is, because at least the vampire one, you were interested in what was happening, at least in a way that there was a flow there. There was consistency, at least to what what you're getting out of it, and there's not a whole lot of filler like this one is, because most of the filler is in the beginning, and it's not until the 15-minute mark is when it actually starts telling the rest of the story, which is a short one, mind you. But I guess I liked what they try to incorporate and add to it and change. It just wasn't executed well. Those elements you mentioned should have been younger kids. Should have done a little bit something more interesting than being aspiring young filmmakers with very expensive cameras for the time. I think it's slightly worse than that Vampire, for my opinion. I don't remember what I even rated the Vampire ones, but I'm not sure if you remember, because I'm gonna start writing these down, because otherwise, if I rate it, it might have been if I get my rating, it might end up being higher than the Vampire, because I can't remember. I'm gonna give it 2 out of 5. 2 out of 5. I think it's fair. Not the worst episode, not the best. If you're marathoning this, or if you're watching this season, skip it.
Wait, did you not just say that this episode was better than the Vampire one?
No, I think I meant to say the Vampire one's slightly better than this one. This episode, I mean.
That's what I thought.
I don't think it's better. I don't think it's better than.
But
the
then
Vampire
you still
one.
rated it 2. I think you gave the Vampire 1, so you're still rating this higher.
Is it okay? So
I
I'm gonna have to
think-
go back on that one.
I think
I don't
you-
remember what I rated the Vampire one.
Yeah, I don't care for the Vampire one. I think the Vampire one's worse than this one, and I'll tell you why. In the Vampire one, you have Michael McDowell, or Malcolm McDowell. You have Malcolm McDowell playing. You have, that's it. That's all I have to say. You have Malcolm McDowell in the fucking Vampire one. You have one of the greatest actors to ever do it. Okay, and he's a fucking joke. So no, maybe he wanted to do that. I can't, knock him for it. So that's the bad
that's
part.
that's a valid point. I think from
yeah.
that perspective, yeah.
Yeah, that's why I'm gonna give this one. See, I was gonna say it sucks. 1 out of 5 stars. I'm sorry. I gotta go low. I kept falling asleep. There's nothing that, at least the Vampire one, I never fell asleep. When I first watched it, I watched the whole thing. I didn't fall asleep. This one, every single time I got to it before, and you know it because we talked about it on this podcast several times. I've said it. I've never seen this episode. Every time I watch it, I fall asleep. I think I've only seen the beginning. Every time, no matter what, I fall asleep. The other day when I was watching, I told Alan, I watched from where I left off, which was right before the Grundy goes into the store. Right, I mean the Undertaker, and he confronts him. Right when he's confronting him, and after I fell asleep for a minute for no reason, and then I woke up. I was like, "Why? Why is this episode I fall asleep?" I'm trying to think. Maybe it's the music. Maybe it's something. I don't know. But this episode, for that alone, it's not a good episode. I'm sorry, people. I hope to God we get better episodes coming up. I know the next episode, I think if it's the one I'm thinking about, it's a good one, and I'm happy. And then I know one after that's going to be good. So we'll see. And episode 13, I've not actually seen that whole thing either. I know the ending, but I have not seen the whole thing. But anyway.
Oh, shit, wish us luck once we get to past season 5 or season 6. I think that's when it starts dropping off. So
I don't know. I have not seen. Go ahead.
I only got up to season 5, I think.
Well, I know when I was a kid, I stopped watching. And I don't know when I stopped watching, but the last episode I saw was the episode Zemeckis did with the Humphrey Bogart one, because they were making such a big deal about that episode. Oh, Zemeckis is bringing back Humphrey Bogart is starring in this episode of Tales from the Crypt. Sucked. That episode's well, I'll talk about that later. In my opinion, when I remember as a kid, I haven't seen it since. But yeah, that's when I saw it as a kid, I was like, this is boring. This looks horrible. I just didn't like it. But anyway, I think the next
I'll
episode,
have to let you know.
Morning Mess, I think that's a good one. I could be confusing that with season 4. There's an episode in season 4 I really like too. That sounds similar to this, so it could be that one. But yeah, we'll see. But yeah, so you gave it 2 out of 5. I gave it 1 out of 5. You think it's better than the Vampire? You think it's worse than the Vampire one? I think it's better than the Vampire one. Yeah, well, that's that. Let us know what you thought about it if you are watching this on YouTube or Rumble. Yeah, let us know in the comment section if you like this episode or not and what you did like about it. And if we're wrong and dumb, just tell us we're wrong and dumb. We love it. If you're listening to this on the podcast, check us out over on YouTube and Rumble on video format over there. But anyway, yep, that's it for us this week. You could see if you're watching this on video that Alan is wearing a shirt, one of the new shirts for Creeps of the Crypt right there. Welcome to the Ritter House. It's a beautiful shirt.
Yeah, it's a great, good shirt.
You could get
I
that.
had some difficulties getting it, but we got it.
Oh yeah, you can get that at grosscrusadersmerch.com. The prices might have to go up because the company we use is like, I have discount codes and they don't work. And they're like, yeah, because you're pricing them too cheap. Hey, I thought I was trying to like get a deal and say, hey, look, this guy's not charging that much for shirts. Obviously, they don't like that.
Right.
But this shirt too is the all-seeing eye for the Illuminati. You can get this and that shirt over at ghostcrusadersmerch.com. So you can also follow us on Creeps of Crypt on X and Alan at Splinter47. And that's it. So we will see you guys next time when we review Morning Mess. Talk to you guys next time. Yeah. I'm not even doing it in sync. Fucking sync the ending. Anyway.